With the new and recent 1.4.4 update for Terraria, with spears being reworked, I decided to revisit a challenge I've done in the past. Can I beat Terraria using spears only? Stay tuned to find out. Alright, let's get started. So I have a few options to obtain my first weapon. I could search near the surface for chests that could have a regular spear inside. I could run all the way to the ocean and hope that inside a water chest there would be the trident, or I could go to the underground desert to find the storm spear. Now the storm spear is the ideal first weapon that I would love to get, since it's the only pre-hard mode spear that's able to shoot a projectile. However, the underground desert is a very dangerous place, especially since I don't have much health or armor, and without a weapon there was just no way I could survive for very long. So I decided to try to find a regular spear to start off with. I started looking over on the right side of the world first, but there was none to be found. I did make it to the ocean, but before I could reach the water chest I was torn to shreds by a shark. After respawning, I traveled to the left and was able to find a pyramid. Inside the chest was the flying carpet. I kinda hoped for it to have the sandstorm in a bottle, but as long as it wasn't the pharaoh robes, then I can't really complain. A bit left of the pyramid was a regular chest. When I opened it, it had the spear I was looking for. Now that I have a weapon, I'll be able to start killing some monsters. I went deeper down the desert and saw the crimson, and that's when I remembered that breaking the crimson hearts has a chance to drop the rotted fork. This spear has 17 damage, which is much better than the one I had. Plus, it would be super easy to get. All I needed were some explosives. I broke 3 hearts, but unfortunately I wasn't able to get one. The Brain of Cthulhu spawned, and there was no way I was gonna fight it, so I teleported back home. I explored a massive amount of the underground desert, but wasn't able to find the storm spear. So I went back to the ocean once again, and this time there were no sharks to kill me. After opening a few water chests, I finally found the trident, and what I noticed right away was that attacking with this weapon in water now generates light, which I thought was a nice little addition. But this weapon would soon be replaced. I made pumpkin armor and then went back to the crimson and broke one more heart, and it dropped the rotted fork, with the godly modifier on it. This spear has 22 damage, and when attacking, it now generates a shockwave at the end of the spear, which also increases the attack range on it. With this spear, I'll be able to defeat some bosses now. However, to play it safe, I searched the underground desert for the storm spear because I really wanted a spear with a projectile attack. Bosses like the King Slime, where you have to get up close with the spear to deal damage, and also Skeletron when he puts up his hand while doing the spin attack, the storm spear will allow me to deal damage from a safer distance. After a grueling hour, I was finally able to get my hands on it. I then farmed for some life crystals to get my health up before I take on my first boss. After reaching 300 health, I summoned the King Slime for the slime mount. After getting the mount, I drank a gravitation potion and found the lucky horseshoe and shiny red balloon. Then going back to the jungle, I found Hermes boots and the rest of the life crystals needed to reach 400 health. I returned home and made full gold armor to replace my pumpkin armor. The 10% damage boost didn't make much of a difference since my weapons have a low base damage and I'd rather much have more defense. Now I'm all set to take on a harder boss, the Brain of Cthulhu. For the second phase of this boss, I used the slime mount. Jumping on top of this boss pretty much takes care of the 2 clones on the bottom, while I just had to guess which of the 2 was real on the top. After defeating the Brain of Cthulhu, I made the Crimson Armor set. However, I ran out of materials needed to craft the Deathbringer pickaxe. Since the world had no more Crimson Hearts, I had to manually summon the boss by crafting the Bloody Spine, made from vertebrae and vicious powder. I defeated the Brain one last time and then made the pickaxe. When I arrived, I summoned the Eye of Cthulhu for the Shield of Cthulhu. After defeating the Eye of Cthulhu, I built an arena to fight Skeletron. Once I defeated Skeletron, I went down the dungeon and opened my first chest. It literally had everything I needed, the Shadow Key and the Cobalt Shield. With the Shadow Key, I'll be able to obtain my next weapon, the Dark Lance. I mined all the way down to Hell and looked for shadow chests. I opened quite a few chests, around 5 of them, with no Dark Lance, and I was starting to lose hope, but luckily I was able to find one. Attacking with the Dark Lance now has a shockwave and it'll apply Shadow Flame on enemies that are hit. With my Deathbringer pickaxe, I mined some Hellstone and crafted the Molten Armor and the Molten Pickaxe. I went back down to Hell and found one more shadow chest. Inside was another Dark Lance, but it had the Demonic modifier on it, so I replaced my normal Dark Lance with it. I then built a really long platform to fight the Wall of Flesh on, but before I fight the Wall of Flesh, I wanted to get the Goblin Tinkerer to spawn, but I would have to defeat the Goblin army first. I didn't want to wait for them to arrive, so I farmed tattered cloths to craft the Goblin Battle Standard to summon the Goblin army. Once I defeated the Goblin army and found the Goblin Tinkerer, I purchased the Rocket Boots and Workshop from him. I combined a few of my accessories to make the Spectre Boots, Cloud in a Balloon, and the Obsidian Shield. Now it's time to fight the Wall of Flesh. The Dark Lance was absolutely destroying the Hungries, making it easier for me to get in close to deal damage to the actual boss. After the Wall of Flesh was defeated, the game is now in hard mode. To survive more hits, I'm gonna need some better armor and a weapon, so I broke some Crimson Altars to spawn Palladium, Orichalcum, and Titanium ore. I then mined the ores in the exact same order. Once I had enough Titanium, I crafted the Titanium armor and the Titanium Trident. I personally think the Dark Lance is better than the Titanium Trident, but since Shadow Flame can't be inflicted onto mechanical bosses, the Trident would be better. Now I needed some wings, so I killed some Wyverns for Souls of Flight and then went down to the Underground Crimson to gather Souls of Night to craft Demon Wings. I'm now ready to take on the mechanical bosses, so I waited until night. I then summoned the Destroyer as the first boss to fight. As soon as it spawned, I ran over to the clumped up area to deal as much damage as possible, because I won't get a chance like that after it unclumps itself. After defeating the Destroyer, with some of the hallowed bars, I crafted the Gungnir. This weapon also has a shockwave just like the Dark Lance, however, it doesn't have any lingering debuffs like the Shadow Flame. I then used the weapon to fight Skeletron Prime. After Skeletron Prime, I summoned the last mechanical boss, the Twins. With all the souls from the 3 bosses, I crafted the pickaxe axe and began mining chlorophyte ore in the jungle. After mining a bunch, I made the chlorophyte partisan. This spear doesn't have a shockwave, however, it does shoot out a poisonous cloud that lingers in the area for a bit, dealing damage. I returned to the jungle and later found the Plantera bulb, so I blew up an area to fight it in. I added a campfire, some honey, and a heart lantern for better life regeneration. Once everything was set up, I broke the bulb to begin the fight. After Plantera was defeated, and before I fight the golem, I farmed for turtle shells to make the turtle armor. Afterwards, I made my way into the temple to summon the golem. With the new changes to this boss, it's definitely harder to kill its hand since it doesn't retract back towards its body after being hit. So this fight took a bit longer than usual. After Golem was defeated, I teleported back home and upgraded my turtle armor to the beetle armor. I took care of the pirate invasion and then went over to the dungeon to summon the lunatic cultist. With the choice of the more defensive beetle armor set, I was able to tank most of the hits from the boss due to the fact that I had a really high defense and health regen objects. So I basically just sat in one spot hitting the boss. Now it's time to obtain my last weapon, the Daybreak. I went straight for the solar pillar, and after destroying it, I picked up the solar fragments to craft it. This weapon is a throwable spear that can stack onto enemies to deal damage over time. With this, destroying the last 3 pillars was a lot easier. Now it's time for the final boss, Moonlord. Alright, that's going to be it for this video. Spears definitely do feel a lot better to use, especially in pre-hard mode. I absolutely love how they added the shadow flame effect on the dark lands. But yeah, thanks for watching everyone. If you've enjoyed watching, leave a like, comment, and also subscribe to the channel. I'll see you all next time. Peace.